Hello, wonderful people of the internet. Sophia here, and today I'm going to tell you about my first hitchhiking experience, my first real abroad hitchhiking experience, and also the tons of mistakes that I made during that adventure, which I do not regret, but I would do it differently if I had the chance to do it another time. I wanted to get from the south of the Netherlands to Paris, so I wanted to leave early in the morning because I heard that you can get better rides in the morning. I got home quite late, and at that point there was only one person at home, and she was very drunk, and she locked me out and I couldn't get in, so I had to stay at a friend's house. She was staying in another part of the town, and I had to get back in the morning later, when I spent about 10 minutes knocking on the door, ringing the bell, calling the person before they managed to wake up and let me in. So that was interesting. And then I had to still finish a few things before leaving, and I remember I think I left about 11, so that's really not early. I think I arrived at the highway around 12, and I was extremely exhausted because I've been walking around with a very heavy backpack. I was very bad at packing at the time. I always wanted to take everything I had, and that's never... First of all, it's not necessary. Second of all, it's not possible. I was standing at the entrance of the highway, putting my thumb up and with a note that said Paris. And there was someone stopped. She offered me a ride to Luxembourg. She promised me that I will be able to get off at a very busy gas station. She was sure that I would be able to get a ride from Luxembourg to Paris. So I said, why not? First mistake I made. I got into a car that didn't go to the direction that I wanted to go to, and that I wasn't familiar with the area that she was gonna go to. Second mistake, I got in the car and I didn't check whether I can reopen the door, whether it's not locked, so that I'm not trapped. I was not trapped. It was a very nice lady. She took me to Luxembourg, but after I did this hitchhiking trip, I did some research and I talked to many people about hitchhiking and stuff. When you get in a car, you have to check if you can open the door again so you are not trapped inside. Also, you should write down the license plate number of the car, and you should either text someone that you are in this car, or you should at least pretend that you're texting so that they know that someone else knows where you are. So I went to Luxembourg, and I said goodbye to this nice lady at the gas station. And there I started looking for rides. And that's where it got complicated, because it turned out to be a very quiet gas station, first of all. People didn't go out of Luxembourg. Luxembourg is very small. I was there for hours. After a while, a nice elderly couple came up to me and they asked where do I wanted to go, and I said that I'm going to Paris, but I would appreciate any help. They would offer me a ride from the gas station to a highway in France. I think it was like half an hour, or maybe not even. We went through very cute French villages, and they didn't speak, we didn't have a common language. That was interesting because they could only speak French, and I don't speak French. I speak a few languages, but French is not one of them. They put me up there. The woman gave me a lot of little candies, which doesn't sound very promising, but they were very helpful, very nice people. They tried to get to know me with their very limited English and my even more limited French. And then we said goodbye, and I walked in the highway, and that's not cool. Now I know. At the time I did not know, because I was so uninformed by this whole thing, that you can't just stand on the highway, because first it's dangerous, and it's also not legal in some countries. So you should do your research, which I obviously did not do. So I walked in the highway and I had my little note that said Paris, and I put my thumb out, and the sun was about to go down, so I got really quite scared because I was walking next to the highway and I was thinking, what if I have to spend the night here? And it wasn't a very nice thought. After a while, I think like maybe half an hour walking, because I was walking because I would have been really cold, like just standing, and also I felt like at least I'm putting some of the distance behind me if I walk. So a truck stopped, and having no other option, I got in a truck, which is really like the stupidest thing you can do. And there was this truck driver, and we didn't have any common languages either. But he definitely said that he would take me to Paris. He could speak a few languages, but a lot of like Slavic languages. I think he was from Poland, I believe, but I'm not sure. But he could speak a few languages. I guess being a truck driver, you just pick up the basics of a language if you travel through that country. So I think it goes without saying that getting in a truck is not okay. I was quite scared, but we were talking like in this non-verbal language, and we discussed that I said I'm older than I actually was, and also I told him that I'm going to visit my fiance or something. I don't know if he understood fiance or husband, but it was definitely a guy who was waiting for me. So you should always tell that somebody is waiting for you, and they will look for you if you don't arrive. At that point, I thought that I was saved. I'm gonna get into Paris, and then I'm good. But about 50 kilometers outside of Paris, or maybe 80, this guy had to stop because there's this thing in trucks where you have to stop after a certain amount of driving. He was saying that I'm not sure that he was telling the truth, but he showed me the little device. Regardless, I had to get out of the truck. So I was in a gas station again, and I started walking up to people. It was even less busy than the one in Luxembourg, but at least it was in France, it was near Paris, or at least I thought that it would be easy to get into Paris since everyone's going that direction and it's kind of a busy place. It wasn't. I talked with a few Italian people, and they found a bus driver who was taking an empty bus towards Paris, but not into Paris. He also had to stop at a gas station outside of the city, like the truck driver, but in a different one. So he said that he would take me to there, and I said fine. He was a nice guy. He took me there, and he said that I could sleep in there in the bus if I wanted to. He assured me that he would not touch me, but I didn't want to sleep in the bus with a guy that I didn't know. I think it was around maybe 9 or 10, and I started to walking up to anyone who was female and asking them if they could give me a ride to Paris. Most of them obviously said no, because most people don't wanna hitchhikers, especially after dark. I was kind of desperate at that point. Several times guys came up to me that they wanted to take me, but I said no. I didn't want to get in their car with several men. And then I really started to feel unsafe. A guy came up to me, and he said that if I'm looking for a ride, they are going into the city and they would take me if I wanted to go. And I said no thanks, it's very kind, but I really appreciate it, but as a female traveling by myself, I can't sit in a car with 3 guys. And he said, don't worry, we are all gay, so you have nothing to worry about. And I said okay, and then they took me to Paris, and they were singing to Beyonce during the whole ride. So I finally arrived in Paris. I think it was between 11 and midnight. In general, I would say that Do your research, make sure that you know the area, that you know the highways, you know the cities, you know phone numbers of taxi companies that can pick you up if it's necessary. Make sure that someone always knows where you are. So if anything happens. Another thing that I would add is that it's very helpful to know at least the basics of the language that they speak in the country that you hitchhike in. Also, I would like to say that there are a few websites. I'm going to put the links in the description where you can find rides before you go. You can find the ride weeks before you want to leave. There are free rides, there are rides there you pay something, but it's significantly less than how much you would pay for a train ticket or a bus ticket. I only have a hitchhiking experience in Europe. In this regard, I don't know anything about other continents. Something else that I would like to say, with all the obstacles, I would still recommend anyone to try, because it was one of the most amazing, most liberating experience that I've ever had. I'm someone who really likes to be in control of their life, and I usually am. And when I was hitchhiking, I obviously couldn't control when I'm gonna get a ride, who is it gonna be, how far am I gonna get, and that was so liberating that I can't even tell. So have a very good hitchhiking experience. If you did hitchhike, please share your experiences. If you have any tips for people who don't have too much hitchhiking experience or don't have any hitchhiking experience, then please leave them in the comments below. Have a nice week and see you next time.
Bye!
God, it's really dark outside and windy. Ah.